All right, all right. Good morning, guys. How's everyone doing today? Got a bunch of questions. I do apologize. I've been traveling a lot, so I haven't really been able to get on the live streams as much as I should have or wanted to, but I am going back as far as I can to all the questions. I know there were some questions that were mentioned on the actual group page and not my event page, and I just couldn't find them. So, I mean, if you have any questions, put them on the event, on my event page, and I'll make sure that I answer those for you. So I apologize if I can't find them. I was trying to scroll through them the other day and try to compile all of them, but if they're on the main page, then it's hard for me to get to. So if you have any questions for me, put them on the my event page. But other than that, let's go ahead and get started. Again, we got quite a few questions because I'm going back about a month here. Let's go ahead and start off with Patricia's question. She says, "Hi, Paul. What is the one thing that you must have when you travel for business? I never leave home without blank. Thank you for your input." When I travel for business, the one thing that I need to have is my laptop. I mean, it's everything's on that. So anything that I need to do for work is on that. Most of my programs and most of our software and most of the information that I have is web-based. So, you know, I never leave. If it's business, I never leave home with my laptop. So that's that. You know, the other thing is I don't leave home without my phone, which I don't think anybody does. But that's what I can't leave home without. So I don't know if you guys are the same way, but yep, that's me. Let's see. Next question is from Amanda. Amanda Boyd asks, "What are your thoughts on probationary or trial employment? Example, I have hired 3 receptionists in 6 months and they haven't worked out for different reasons. My salon culture is very strong and pushes those not aligned very quickly. What terms would you recommend for a week trial on an hourly employee? And I feel like I need to see their attributes fold out before I know if I'm comfortable." Okay, so hey, Amanda, that is not a uncommon problem for any business owner that employs anybody. Nowadays, it's really difficult to see if a person's going to work out based on an interview or the references that they check, right? Because like different environments sometimes produces different outcomes. So. And different company cultures produces different outcomes. Even if they were successful at one company, they might not be successful at yours. So here's my suggestion, and this is what I suggest to a lot of my clientele, or a lot of our clients, is that they utilize us as a temp service. So maybe it's a 3-month. You were talking about a week. I think you're probably going to need a little bit more time than a week to really kind of assess if they're going to work out in your field. I would give it about 1 to 2 months, or actually probably about 2 to 3 months in actuality. So what we have a lot of our clients do, and it's actually a solution, is that we have them temp somebody, put them on, run them through our company as a temporary employee. So we hold their payroll for the next 3 months. And after those 3 months, it's kind of this long-term like interview where you're seeing if they actually going to fit, right? And at the 3rd month, we convert them into a full-time employee if they work. It's an actual strategy that we use now to make sure that we are hiring the right people. So you might want to do that. You might want to hire them on as a temporary employee, knowing that and the reason why I say that, because it's easier to stop employment on a temporary employee than it is to do it on a permanent employee. So that's something that you might want to try to put them on a 2 to 3 month temporary basis. What we do is we do a temporary to hire basis. So that's how we arrange their contracts. That's what I would do. That's what I recommend my clients to do if they're uncertain if they want to keep someone. That way, it's easier to remove that temporary employee. And if you're having a staffing company do it, you don't have to go through all the interview process or trying to find them or putting the postings out. They'll do that all for you. If you don't like them in a week, you just call the staffing company or the recruiting company and say, "Look, it's not working out. I need a new one." So you know, it tends to be a little bit more expensive, but it's going to take away a lot of your headache. So that's what I would recommend. Okay, let's go to the next one. Mark says, "Hi, Paul. Besides the usual W-2, etc., what, if anything, do you recommend when bringing on a 1099 employee? A commission schedule, code of ethics, ready for signature, anything you would do on top of that?" Okay, so for 1099 employees, I would recommend a non-disclosure. and a confidentiality agreement, because they're probably going to be working with your clientele, or they're probably going to be working with your customers, or they're going to have insight on how you do your business practices. With anything that you do with a 1099 employee, because they are independent and they're not really governed by your employee handbook or your code of ethics or what have you, I would say have an NDA, or a non-disclosure agreement, and a confidentiality agreement. If certain states are a little bit different, I would have them have a non-compete agreement as well, so they can't like really go after your customers if they build them on your while they're working with you. So NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, and a confidentiality agreement would be really good to add to a 1099 employee. Sean just jumped in. Paul, what's the best way to find a good staffing company? Do they need to be local? You know what? When it comes to administrative, receptionists and what have you, there's a really, really big staffing company that I would recommend. It's called Apple One. They're in every. I mean, they're a global company. They're in every location. That's a large company that you can try, but what I would do is just go on Google and type in like a local administrative staffing company in your area. Apple One tends to be a little bit more expensive because they're so big, but if you can find a local staffing company, I mean, I don't know where she's located, but I would just go on Google. Like Sean always says, go on Google, just type in administrative staffing company in Orange County, California, or wherever you are. And then they'll pull up a whole bunch of companies. And then what you want to do is ask what their markup rate is, right? So it's really important because, sometimes staffing companies tend to take advantage of the amount of markup they put on a temporary employee. So you want to ask what the pay rate is and what the bill rate is, right? So basically what the pay rate is, what are you paying the temporary employee, and what are you billing me for that service, right? So like if someone's making $10 an hour and they bill you $16 an hour, there's a 60% margin on that. You want to try with admin, you want to try to stay around like 40%, 40 to 45%. So I'm kind of giving away the tricks of the trade here. Between the two, the pay rate and the bill rate. So you want to try to get to about 40, 45%, right? And then there's also something called a conversion fee, right? What a conversion fee basically is how much time does that temporary employee need to be employed with you to where there's no fee when you convert them to a full-time employee. So basically what I mean by that is if they work like, let's say 980 hours with you, then at the 980 hours, there's no fee to convert that temporary employee they placed in you. And generally what a conversion fee is, it's a percentage of their first year's salary that they have, right? So what I would negotiate is I would negotiate a 40 to 45% markup rate from the pay rate. And then I would negotiate a 3-month conversion fee, which is 540 hours. So that gives you the opportunity to keep that employee for the 3 months and then convert them with no fee at all, right? So yes, Sean, the margin is negotiable, and it's generally more negotiable with the local staffing firms than the larger staffing firms. Apple One, Randstad, what else is there? Robert Half, generally not negotiable because they're really, really big. But if you use a local staffing firm, I mean, we're a regional staffing firm, so we have a little bit more flexibility on what our margins are. But if you use a local staffing firm that's centralized to your location, there's generally a pretty good chance that you will be able to negotiate that margin and also negotiate that conversion fee, okay? So again, remember, you got to negotiate the margin from the pay rate to the bill rate, and you have to negotiate the conversion fee, right? Again, the conversion fee is the fee that they're going to charge if you convert the employee. You want to try to get that to 0. So 3-month, no fee conversion. And you should be golden from there. Again, it's a little bit more expensive, but it takes away a lot of the headache, so you can focus on growing. The one thing that you want to do is focus on growing your business, focus on your customers. If you're having a lot of turnover on your staffing, on your receptionist, have someone do that. Pay a little bit more money. It takes away a lot of the headache, and then you can. It's easier to find the right person that way. So, okay, very cool. Let's go to the next one. Okay, we answered Mark's question. Mark, NDA, and non-disclosure, non-compete if it's enforceable in your state. Just in general practice, just do it anyway. Let's see, Jared. Okay, Jared asked, Paul, what are your thoughts on hiring an applicant that has signed a non-compete that applies directly to the business that they will be conducting with my company? Okay, personally, I have high ethical standards, but as long as they're not stealing from their previous employer, is there still something I should avoid? This is a commissioned salesperson, and my research, they might be able to stay under the radar. Okay, that's tricky. That's a little bit tricky. Again, every state has different regulations when it comes to non-compete. We're located in California. So let me give you an example of California. California has one of the most rigid, employee-friendly, laws in the country. Non-competes do not hold up in California as long as they're not an officer in the company. So if they were in California, if this 1099 employee signed a non-compete, then it wouldn't be and they're not an officer in the company, then they wouldn't. Then it wouldn't be enforceable, right? However, there's ways to get around it. And again, I'm not an attorney, but I've kind of gone through this many times. Depending on the kind of depending on the kind of business, sometimes they can come back to you as trade secrets. Basically, like it's an infringement of trade secrets, where it's like, okay, you have a certain amount of understanding of how their business practices works, and then they can kind of come after you when they go to the next one. So general rule of thumb here, Jared, forgive me, I forgot what state you're in, but general rule of thumb is in California, I would hire someone, but in a different state, I would need to read that. Here's what I would recommend, right? So I'm not going to say yes or no. I tend to lean towards if I'm not in California, let's say if I'm in Texas, then I would lean to I probably wouldn't be able to conduct business with them. However, what I would do is take that non-compete and have your attorney look at it, so that you can understand if it's going to be prudent to go ahead and bring that person on with that non-compete or not. That's my best recommendation. I would have them bring the non-compete, bring all their documentation when they separated from the company, have your attorney look at it, and have them advise you on what you should be doing. They're going to be more state specific, but that's my recommendation for you. Let's see. Fabian. Okay. Fabian asks, thanks for your time and expertise, Paul. For context, we are a 20-year-old independent jazz record label with a range of debut artists to multi-Grammy and award-winning artists. Oh, that's pretty awesome. It's not sustainable to rely exclusively on album sales, streams, licensing as main source of revenue streams. We've started a media company featuring a variety of programs centered around music and the people who create it. Live performances, artist interviews, masterclasses, etc. We have eclipsed 20,000 subs on our YouTube, and just alone on our 10 artists on roster collectively have following over 1.5 million. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Question: do you have ideas on best practices to cross-promote and market the content we are creating into everyone else's social media platforms? First goal is to increase our YouTube subscribers, to attract and solicit appropriate sponsors and a strategic brand partnership. Okay, so I read that whole thing, but I'm going to apologize. This is not my area of expertise. We have some amazing mentors that can answer this. Post on Fritz's wall. I know he does a lot of social media. I mean, even Sean is, he's a badass in social media. He would be a good person to ask. And also Peter Kozador. He's awesome at this as well. So those, I wish I can. I tend not to give advice if I'm not really good at it. So I would ask those guys. But thank you for the question anyway. All right. Next question is Mark. Hi, Paul. Hope you're doing great. I am in the third round to become a sales manager for a company I like to work for. They've created a new department, and they will build a team of 4, 2 sales, 2 technicians, who have been already working for this company for a year in another department. What first steps would you take as a manager of a team in general? Where should I be careful? All right. So let me just read this really quick because I just want to make sure I answer this correctly. Okay, so the reason why I'm kind of reading it a little bit more delicately is because I needed to find out if you are coming in as a new employee to this company that you're going to be a manager of, or you are a current employee. These guys are your peers, and then you become their manager. Those are 2 completely separate, different things that we're going to be talking about. So it looks like you're coming in as a new manager. Okay, so where it's going to be parallel on both, if you're an internal employee, these guys are your peers, and then you become their manager, or you're becoming a new manager. The first thing that I would recommend on anything is do not disrupt any of the current processes or flows that they're working with right now. There's something called change management when you update software, when you implement new technology, when you put a new boss in or whatever it is. There's always something that's emotional that happens to employees when there's change. It's kind of like anything in life. If you change locations of your house, if you have a new child, there's change that happens, and people are generally resistant to change. So they're really resistant to change until you develop a trust. Right? Until you develop because the change is a threat to people, and unless you make that threat benign, then they're always going to be anxious. So with that being said, my recommendation is get in there, don't change anything, just kind of figure out how everyone's working, like how are you doing your job, the 2 sales guys. So what do you do on a daily basis? I want to know what's going on. I want to go on ride-alongs with you. I want to listen to your calls. I want to hear what you guys do and really understand what's working in that current process and what might not be working in your opinion. Do the same thing with the technicians. What is your daily task? What are you doing? Take them out to lunch. Get to know them on a personal level, right? There's a great quote by Roosevelt that people don't care about how much you know unless they know how much you care. So with that being said, is that you need to be able to really gain their trust without disrupting anything. It's very similar to when a company merges with another company, right? If another company acquires another company, they generally let them run for about a year and a half. Really understand how the business practice is working, where their efficiencies are, and where they're lacking efficiencies, how the company culture is, what's going on with it. You really kind of have to diagnose it in all different areas before you start kind of moving the pieces. And that's what I would suggest if you're coming in as a brand new manager, is really get to understand the company culture, the group culture, your team culture, understand what their daily tasks are, what they do. Get to know them on a professional and personal level. I mean, professionally personal. Don't go overboard, but really get to gain their trust. That is always going to be the number one thing. Gain their trust, and then after that, you can start suggesting, and then they'll start to be more apt to listen to how you are going to increase their efficiencies. But you got to gain. The speed of business is always attached to the speed of trust. The more trust that you have, the better you're going to be able to execute your business. So when you get in there, my suggestions for you is just get to know everyone, understand the culture, don't disrupt anything. Just really get to know them, see what's working, and then start maneuvering after that. So that's my suggestion here. Hopefully, okay, you just did this 4 hours ago. So good luck on that position. Let me know if you get it, and if you have any questions on what you should do after you get it. But congratulations on being that far along in your interview process. Ari asks, the firm I work for part-time wants to merge my book of business or my book of clients with their Fort Collins firm. I'm torn on this decision. I feel like I'm at a point where my business is growing steadily. My kids are still little. And having just separated from my spouse, well, I'm sorry to hear that, Ari. I feel that this is a good thing for my clients and gives me a chance to step back and have more flexibility to focus on my kids during this time. I would still like to be the main contact for my clients, but they'd have a whole team to support in addition to me. What are your thoughts on this? Okay, so here's my thoughts on that. I think, given the difficulty of what you're going through personally and you having small kids, just in my opinion, I think that would be a good move. People prioritize things differently, but when it comes to my family and me being there for my family first, that's going to always take precedence to over anything that I can possibly do, right? You only have one chance to be there for your kids while they're growing up. You have thousands of chances to build an incredible business or to propel your career. So given I don't know too much details here or the bandwidth that you have or what kind of help you have with your children, if you feel that, honestly, just from a personal level, I will always choose family first. So like, if you can still maintain a financial lifestyle that you need while merging your books with this firm, then and giving yourself an opportunity to have more flexibility with your kids, to take care of them going through this difficult time, that's what I would probably do. If I was in your situation, I would need to get help. I mean, I'll give you an example. Let me just kind of talk about my current business here. I have been grinding and working on this 14 hours a day for the last, 6-7 years. And my child is 8 now, and I feel like I haven't seen her grown up. So just recently, I restructured the company to where I'm letting I'm out of the operations in the day-to-day, and I'm having a lot more time and flexibility to go out. I just wanted that time to be for my family. So what I did was I relinquished some compensation or how much I made or whatever it is, and brought on new individuals to run the company so I can have a little bit more time and flexibility. It's a little bit different than your case, but I think you kind of get my point here. I think in a weird way we might be in similar situations, but I wanted to spend more time with my family, and that sometimes has to you have to relinquish a little bit of the financial or the growth aspect of your business. Other than that, sorry to hear about it, but that would be what I would do in my opinion, or if I was in your situation. Let's see, Joe. Okay, so this isn't a question. I saved this comment from Joe, which is awesome. I'm the people guy, I guess, in this mentorship group, and I really love employees and culture and team building and stuff like that. So Joe writes this, and I just wanted to read it. Paul David, hope you're well. I'm on full growth mode right now, and in order to do that, I desperately need to hire at least one person. I reached out to a professional organization I belong to with what I was thinking in terms of wage and benefits package. The response blew me away. The director said, give them enough to live and have them grow the company. I'm a big believer in if you take care of your team members, they will take care of your clients. Right? I guess I do not have a question, just wanted to share. This is why, in my opinion, there's so much turnover in companies. With 3% unemployment, I do not feel companies and organizations can be flippant with regards to wages, benefits, etc. Thanks for reaffirming my beliefs on how to treat others. So I love that, because that is putting the people in your company first, and it's showing exactly what it can do. Right? There's, I don't know, time and time again, they always say if you treat your employees well, they will take care of your customers, they will take care of your company. So, I just spoke with a pretty large healthcare client, and they wanted to grow their physician base somewhere around 100 employees next year, and they were asking how to do that. And basically what I was saying is that, you need to have talent be one of the priorities in your company, because talent is the ones that deliver the products and services that you provide for your consumers, right? Or for your customers. Now, if you are really good at selling your product or services to the consumer and building revenue that way, that's fantastic. But if you can't deliver through a high-performing workplace, then there's really no point in it. To effectively grow a company, in my opinion, you need to be able to grow and foster and nurture that clientele base that is feeding your company with revenue. And you also have to foster and grow and nurture that internal, what I call internal clients, or your employees, so that they can deliver the products and services to your clients, right? So you gotta grow the business internally, and you gotta grow the business externally. So that's my opinion, and that's what I see is works over time. Unfortunately, I think a lot of companies, especially large companies, don't operate that way because of their complexity. But you know what? We're all small, mid-sized business owners here, so we have the opportunity to create a really great culture for our employees and let them be happy, right? That way, if you let them, if you create a, we can't change anything. As employers, we can't change anything in their home life. We can't make their home life better, but we can change what we can do within a company, within their work environment. And if you make it really great for them to work, then they can take that off, and they can take that and move that into their personal life, because they spend a lot of time at work. Other than that, I've been kind of doing vacation for the last month, so like I have not been jumping on this as much as I want to, but I will be back every other week to make sure that I answer all you beautiful people's questions. Put them in the comment. Put them in the wall of my events page. I will answer your questions to the best of my ability, and I want to see you guys all grow and be successful. I mean, it's really one of the most rewarding things for me. With that being said, hope you guys have a fantastic holiday. 2019 is upon us. I think 2019 will be the greatest year of this whole entire tribe. So let's go out there and crush it. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me that question on my wall. Have a fantastic end of the year. Have a fantastic holidays, and let's kick some serious ass in 2019. All right, tribe. Have a great week.